Welcome, 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 welcome. It's your boy Wiggles.
It's your boy Kev, aka The Entertainer.
Yo, what's good? It's Marcus Antonio. That is my whole first name, Gun. What's happening?
What's going on, y'all? It's good to see y'all again.
We want to know.
What's your
What's
perspective?
your perspective?
So,
That's right.
Go ahead, Wiggles. Go ahead.
Hey, that just got me so high. I gotta do it one more time, y'all. I gotta do it one more time. It's your boy Wiggles, Kev the Entertainer. My boy Marcus Antonio, y'all. What it is?
Man, you crazy. You just ecstatic and excited.
Come on. It's a good day to be excited, right?
Yes, it is. So today, y'all, we're trying to get perspectives on Black forgiveness, right? We see it all over. Stuff happens to the Black community. It seems like a week and a half go past and we moved on. We're not broaching these subjects. We're not making any type of collective change. So we need to know what's the perspective on Black forgiveness. We got a nice little lineup for y'all today. A couple of clippings, some hot topic items that have been going across the nation. But I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to my boy Wiggles to get us started. So Black forgiveness, Wiggles, Black forgiveness.
Well, you know, it's Black forgiveness, man. It's one of those things. If we back up to the actual, I guess, the concept of forgiveness and seeing how people doing wrong and or saying something wrong, hurtful or whatever it is, them acknowledging what they've done to you, towards you or your loved ones, you accepting that and then being able to say, you know what, no harm, no foul, no charge towards you. And for me, and I make it personal, man, it's very, one, it's very rare that I ask for forgiveness. That's one. However, I understand that it's necessary. And the thing for me when it comes to, we have to apologize for everything. And I think when it comes to forgiveness, man, for me, I'm like, yo, like, I think that if we as Black people could accept who we were, and we could accept our desires and our actions, then we have to look at what is in fact we are apologizing. Are we apologize who we and what we do somebody else, or are we apologizing because who we are is wrong and what we did is wrong? And so I think that's the thing that has stuck a lot of times. Claire, what you got?
So, you know, we often talk about Black forgiveness and how we just, Gunn mentioned how we just let things go after like a week and a half. But I want to take a different spin on it. I always think about, if you talk about Blacks and forgiveness, do you ever forgive yourself, right? For the mistakes that you made, for the journeys, for the challenges, for the decisions that you made? Do you ever forgive yourself, right? So when I lived in North Carolina, my pastor, shout out to Apostle Miriam Parker Keller, she preached to someone one time and she said, Lord, deliver me from my enemy, even if my enemy is me, okay? And that stuck with me for a very long time. Like, how often do you look at the mirror and say, you know what? Hey, listen, self, I forgive you. You know what I'm saying? We live with all this bondage and all this weight forever because we don't forgive ourselves. I know we were talking earlier, you know, when I turned 30, that was a huge piece of forgiveness for myself, right? Forgiving myself for not living up to my expectations, not really pursuing all of my dreams, my hopes, and my aspirations, and forgiving myself for not being my true and authentic self, right? Always kind of, you know, cover myself for other people. I didn't want to, you know, eclipse other people. And so I was like dimming my own light. And I had to forgive myself, right? I can't be all that I'm supposed to be if I'm not all that I'm supposed to be. So I took a different path and talked about forgiveness for oneself, for the decisions that you made that affected your life.
Marcus, go ahead.
I definitely have a hard time. I don't know if forgiving myself is a problem. What I am cognizant of is that I make mistakes, and what I try to do is to own up to the shit that I do. You know what I mean?
Right.
In my life, I feel like that there's only one person who I'm accountable to. That's my husband. That's Shavosky. The only person that I need to give an explanation of why and, why come. Even when I think of my mom and, my intermediate family, I don't necessarily owe them an explanation of why I do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I really do try to apologize when I am in the wrong. I forgive and forget your ass real quick. Like, I come in trusting people first off, you know what I mean? I try to believe that everybody has some decency and that they have some type of good in them. And it's only when you like do something to, when you threaten that trust, you know what I mean? When you violate in such a way, my forgiving is forgetting you. You know what I mean? Like, I don't, forgive and forget. Yeah, no, I don't know. Am I really forgiving though? I'm trying to think about it. Do I deal with the situation? Yes. Do I say what I need to say? Do I try to give you the opportunity to say what you need to say? Yes. But at the end of the day, like, we done. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a pretty stand-up guy, and I expect people to be stand-up just like me. You know what I'm saying? And that's why my circle is small.
But then are you placing that's a high expectation for people, right? Because not everyone was raised, like everybody else, right? And so, I might have made a mistake, towards you, Gun, and I was like, well, damn, I'm cut off, off that one time, you know what I'm saying? And it might have been something that I wasn't even aware of. I have
that's
to
the
often
thing.
check
I'm going
myself,
to give you
stuff like that.
Yeah, no. See, I'm going to definitely let you know where you fucked up at. And I think that based on what you do once you get that information, that's going to determine what I do going forward when it comes to our relationship. You know what I mean? If you have the capacity to be like, you know what? Nah, the way you're seeing it is wrong. And I'm gonna take the moment to be like, okay, walk me through it. If you just don't own up to the shit, especially when I got evidence, especially when I could point to key facts, you know what I mean? And you still like, no, that wasn't me. I ain't do nothing. Yeah, integrity is a big part of.
As it should be.
Yeah, it's a big part for me. So are you just gonna admit and be like, look, I fucked up. I didn't know what I was doing, or I thought I knew what I was doing, but I don't. You know what I mean?
And that's my thing. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to what I said earlier. I'm looking at this one definition. It says psychologists generally define forgiveness as a conscious, deliberate decision to release feelings of resentment or vengeance toward a person or a group who has harmed you, regardless of whether they actually deserve forgiveness. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting, nor does it mean condoning or excusing offenses. And so now, here's the thing. I think a lot of times people think that who they are is right.
Right.
I think that people think that what they do is right. And a lot of times we carry this resentment and this need for vengeance in our heart and in our minds for people who don't see anything wrong with who they are. They don't see anything wrong with what they do. And we spend a lot of time trying to get people to see they're wrong. And that's why I think it's difficult for people to forgive, because I mean, like, why would I forgive somebody? Why would somebody forgive me if I think that I'm right, or if I don't see nothing wrong? Like, am I really just apologizing? And is apology part of forgiveness, or is it different from forgiveness? Because if I can say, or asking for forgiveness, I should say that, because if I'm like, I'm sorry for whatever it is that I've done towards you, right? I mean, because it offended you, but I'm not sorry about who I am. I don't make no apologies for who I am, and I don't make apologies for what I'm doing, but it offended you, it hurt you, I'm sorry. I
mean, there are levels to it, because see, I'm going to apologize if you feel some type of way, but truth is what truth is. She ain't changing for nobody. She gonna be this way when the sun explode and the planet, you know what I mean, they collide. Truth is what truth is, right? So yeah, no, that's not changing. So I may apologize for maybe how it made you feel, but I'm not apologizing for the content. I'm not apologizing for coming to you and telling you, you know what I mean, this is wrong, or I don't understand why. I'm not apologizing for that. apologize for the illicit emotion that you get based on my approach. You know what I mean? So, yeah, no, I'm gonna apologize for hurting your feelings. But you also have to understand that, there is a part that you played in it. And it just is what it is. How are we going to grow from this? How are we going to get better from this? You know what I'm saying? So I think it's hard for Black people to forgive. We already don't have much. You know what I'm saying? Like, society really does not give Black folk a lot of anything. You know what I mean?
Well, Black folks don't give Black folks a lot of anything.
Right.
We talked a few weeks ago. We talked about forgiveness, and we all have. I was watching a TV show and they talked about for those Black people who fall under the LGBTQA spectrum, right? They will demonize them, but then forgive those same pastors and teachers and uncles and cousins who, are molesting and assaulting, but you'll forgive them. You'll forgive a cheater. You'll forgive somebody who murdered somebody, but for somebody who falls under the spectrum, it's like automatic demonization. And it's like, I just don't understand how you can forgive on this end, but then cast, darkness on this end for somebody that, we're all in this thing together, supposedly.
And that goes back to what I was saying. Some people think who they are is right. And in turn, they think what they do is right. You know what I'm saying? And we justify that and being who we are, man. So let's back up, man. We on live Facebook, and so y'all, if y'all tune, man, right now, you can leave your comments down there on anything that you hear. Comment down there. We're gonna read those comments, and we're gonna talk about anything that you say. Right now, we're talking about Black people in forgiveness, Black men especially in forgiveness. So. What sparked the conversation, man? There's been so much happening here recently, man. And what started it was these two young white teenagers, I think seniors in high school in Carrollton, Georgia, and they were making niggas. That's exactly what they were doing.
Yep.
And it offended a whole lot of people. And there was some posts on Facebook where some people basically were like, you know what, we shouldn't be mad with them because we do it to ourselves. And for me, I'm like, man, I'm so tired of us as a community, man, condoning and or justifying white people's actions because it's what
towards
we do.
us. Towards us.
This part I don't get. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't. I mean, granted, because for me, like they act Black people don't fight Black people. Like we don't cuss one another out. Like we don't cut one another off. Right? You know what I'm saying? And then you turn around and if it's a white counterpart, Asian counterparts, whoever it is, it's like, oh, we do it ourselves. So I mean, that's what we should expect. No, heck no, heck no. What I actually expect is if we are going to cut one another off, and if we are going to chastise and cancel each other off, we should immediately do it to everyone else. Immediately.
That's that council culture, though, that's going around right now. We're in this council culture, and R. Kelly, council culture. Chrisette Michele for singing the national anthem for Donald Trump. The Black community still ain't forgave this woman.
But what's funny is now these people are cashing these stimulus checks and we're not canceling them because they came from Donald Trump, but it's supposed to be okay because, I'm struggling, bro, I need some help. I'm going to take this stimulus check, but I'm not going to forgive Chrisette Michele because she was trying to do something for her, for herself, trying to be better for herself, right? Or how we cancel R. Kelly, but we still listen to the music that he wrote. Well, I'm not listening to R. Kelly. Well, you need to cancel Mariah Carey, okay? You need to cancel Selena Johnson. If we cancel, let's cancel everybody, okay? Not just R. Kelly, because he wrote some good music too. Well, no, we shouldn't cancel. That's not fair to them. Really now?
We have to separate the man from the music.
That's what they say. Oh, okay.
That's what they say, man. Marcus Antonio,
Kendra asked a question. Would you apologize for the sake of keeping the friendship or relationship, even if you feel you weren't wrong, if you wasn't wrong?
I would apologize.
I do.
It depends on the level of friendship. I think we've taken friendship out of context. and now we just call everybody a friend. I have strong associates, right? I have very few friends, but I have a lot of strong associates, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so it depends on the level of associateship or friendship if I'm going to apologize to keep this, right? Because some people, you just needed one catalyst. So you know what, this is not working for me, and we're going to just go ahead and make this a wash, right? But it depends on the friendship or associateship if I'm going to apologize to keep it. It just depends.
Mm.
Oh,
I apologize regardless. Like I say, especially if I'm in the wrong, like, cause I know y'all know my mouth. It can be egregious sometimes. So I know me. So I apologize regardless. When I think of trying to keep a relationship, the only time I'm really thinking about or focusing on a relationship is when it comes to me and Shavosky. I'm going to apologize even if I'm not wrong. And I think that 9 years in the game, we have found a way to acknowledge that one or the other has fucked up and that we just automatically forgive because we know the heart of the person. I got 4 primary best friends. Yeah, I'm apologizing to keep that relationship, but I have the type of friends where we're able to talk about that shit though and be like, nah, nigga, you wrong. Not only you wrong as shit, and this is why. But I'ma still love on you, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But like you say, it depends on the level of relationship, how deep I go. I'm apologize. It might be a surface apology, but I think that depending on the relationship and the level, I'm going to maybe put a little bit more effort into it,
Mm-hmm.
be a little bit more conscious in how I approach it. Um, yeah.
with that though, but to flip it back on there, because I want to make sure that we don't get stuck on the thought of apologizing versus the act of forgiving, because
Mm.
people, that's the issue. People do what they do, say they're sorry, and then it's like, let's go.
They
You
don't
know what I'm saying?
change.
And see, my wife, she gets on me about that a lot. She says like, you can do you can do something wrong or something that hurts my feelings, and you just keep on moving like it ain't nothing happened. You know what I'm saying? Like I can be mad, you go to sleep, and you know what I'm saying? It ain't changed nothing. But her on the other hand is what she's saying. Me on the other hand, I can't sleep. I don't feel like eating. I can't rest. I don't want to look at you. I don't want to talk to, you know what I'm saying? Like if I don't want to see the people you've been interacting with, because I feel like y'all all connected, and everybody's sitting here making a mockery of me. And when you take this on as men, because I want us to go back on this, like when it comes to the forgiving piece, do we give other people passes more so than we give our own brothers passes? Do
Mm.
we give them a harder time? You know what I'm saying? Do we give them a harder time than we give? And we talked about this via message yesterday. You brought up R. Kelly, really early. And so, but to that point, R. Kelly would be our brother to a degree. And you would say we've given him years and years of correction and or passes. And like now it's like, okay, look, it ain't no more that we
Yeah.
can do for you. You got to take all this. You got to accept all of this. You understand what I'm saying? Versus, okay, because I brought up Harvey Weinstein and I talked about Oprah and the rest of the
Mm-hmm.
gang, like why they ain't doing TV shows on them and interviewing him and his folks and those things like that. They let the white women in white America, I guess, chastise. Go ahead.
I think it's hard because I was thinking last night after we were talking, and when you think about Oprah, she said, I'm not letting nobody get to my bag. She's like, R. Kelly is not on my level. Okay. And so Harvey Weinstein has more influence than R. Kelly does. So Oprah's in the mindset of, hey, you're not messing up my bag. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to speak out against the establishment, right? R. Kelly, he's canceled. Like nobody is checking for R. Kelly. But Harvey Weinstein is still in the industry. He still has those connections and that network. And so she's not going to mess up her bag by speaking out against him. You know what I'm saying? They know what they're doing. It's intentional, right?
Mm-hmm.
You talk about
I didn't
apologies.
even think about it that way, Kevin. Like you know what? I didn't think about it that way of not broaching Harvey Weinstein because they in the same. I didn't think about that.
And that's crazy. Like, man, how can you mess up a bag when you are one of the wealthiest people in the whole wide world. Like you said, she said.
But you know, just as quick as you can get it, you can lose it.
You know, that's
Okay.
true now.
When you messing with, you know what I'm saying, that the establishment, just as quick as you got it, we can take it away. Look at Bill Cosby. You know what I'm saying? He was a multimillionaire. Just as quick as you got it, we can take it away off of one mistake, right? It only look at Andrew Gillum. You know what I'm saying? Off of one, just as quick as you rose that political stardom, we're gonna take you right on back down a few levels, right? So don't get too high, don't get too haughty because you got a few millions in the bank, because I can take you right back down. That's the mentality that white people have for black people, which is why we don't have what we have in society. Don't start speaking too much. I'm gonna cut you down, right? Against the establishment.
But we look to these same people. We look to these same people, man, and we lift them up. And you made an incredible point. R. Kelly is not on my level. I don't got, you know what I'm saying? So I could demean him. I can put all this stuff. I can do this, that, and the third. Now, Harvey Weinstein, on the other fact, he is on my level, and he has an ability to mess my junk up, and I ain't trying to be messed up. So I would, in turn, because my brother, who is not on my level, I will go ahead and write him off, because nothing that he says and or does will affect.
But is that being selfish on her end? Because she not to mess up her bag, you know what I mean?
I'm saying, like, that's my whole thing. I feel like we as brothers and sisters, like, you know what, it ain't nothing you can do to me. I can go ahead and I can expose you and exploit you and do this, that, and third. Ain't nothing you can do to me, nothing you can say to me that's gonna mess me up. And sometimes
that's why you take all that crap at your job and you don't report your boss, but you're gonna call the police on your neighbor.
They got 11 people over there. My friend in Atlanta just went through that. Her neighbors called the police on her. A black couple, and she's black. They called the police on her. We counted 13 people. If you don't mind your business, like, mind your own business. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not even hurting you. You know.
I want to go ahead and start our sharing of what brought us to this, right? So let me go ahead and cue this video. We're gonna watch the whole thing. It may be a trigger for some people. The shit was definitely a trigger for me. But I think that we have to keep things like this at the forefront of our mind. And let's talk about this issue. So here we go. Are y'all able to hear that?
Oh, there we go. We can't hear it though.
Oh, you can't hear it. So I'll provide commentary if you can't hear it. So you have two white Carrollton high school students who are doing this TikTok challenge, right? We've seen different people saying when God made Taurus, he added laughter and this and that. So they are making black people with stereotypes and labels. So one of these was robbing people, specifically white people. Go to jail was a big one. Not having a father was another label that they put on. So they're filling this cup and pouring this water into this basin, making black people.
But Gun,
so
you got to be more
niggas
specific, right?
specifically, they making niggas specifically.
Right.
So I'm sorry that y'all could hear that. I wish that y'all were able to hear this. So by now, everybody has had the opportunity to at least see it.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Go to your computer screen, right, and make sure your sound is on to where we can hear the video, because we've been able to hear it every other time.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Go to your sound on go to your settings, go to your sound on there, and make sure that it's on so we should be able to hear it. And if not, it's all good. They've seen it already.
I wanted to bring up something else. I know we're talking about this, but we talked about apologies. And one thing, I host this like interactive weekly broadcast at my job, and my thought for the week last week was an apology without changed action is simply manipulation. Mm-hmm. You know, and I think about how often when we manipulate these relationships, you know what I'm saying, to keep the peace. Well, let me apologize. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it. When in reality, I could really care less. You know what I'm saying? Like, but let me apologize for, you know, saying for the surface sake. It's manipulation, right? And how many of us have really manipulated situations, you know what I'm saying, to save a relationship or save a friendship? You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, to that point though, it goes back to what I said in the beginning. Are we apologizing? Are we apologizing for what we done because what we did was absolutely wrong and we know it's wrong? Or and I think, you know, because and I think that's the thing when it comes to, you know, these definitions of for certain acts. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you are, I mean, okay, let's use Marcus Antonio for example, right? He we know full fledged man. Marcus Antonio is a pansexual. I'm still learning, you know, the definition of those things, and he's married to a male. Now, with that, because people, whether it's white America or let's say Christians, you know what I'm saying, if they feel that that is absolutely wrong, should he have to apologize for who he loves and how he loves, right?
Absolutely not.
Question
And
is,
so,
am I going to apologize? Hell no, I ain't apologizing.
so now, and this is my thing. It's who he is, and who he is breeds what we do, in my opinion.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I believe we what we are, and so, and I think a lot of times, again, when it comes to societal values for what's right and what's wrong. When it comes to morals, we have different morals because we have different feelings and we have different opinions, and who we are
We have
is
different family cultures.
Mhm.
and we have so many different subcultures, especially in the Black community. That's why I believe we can't have that one holistic community because there's so many different subcultures. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
However, to your point, Kevin, I think that's the thing. Like, we wind up apologizing because who we are offends somebody else. What we
Mhm.
do offends somebody else, and so we're apologizing because we are offending people. We're not saying that we're sorry because we think that who we are is wrong or what we do wrong. We just sorry that it offended that person. That's it. And I think we're going to always have to continue to apologize for who we are and apologize for what we do because it's always going to offend somebody. The question is will do they for I mean, shoot, I mean, now the new question would be, is there even a point of forgiving somebody for being who, again, black and white? Should we accept their apology for who they are? They are who they are. And go ahead.
But again, it is manipulation, right? If you are apologizing for the same, for instance, you know, we see these people get on like that couple or like that couple out of Carrollton, Georgia, right? You get on here and you cry these Caucasian tears because, oh my gosh, I didn't know, I didn't mean to hurt anybody, I didn't know I didn't know was wrong, and you know, I'm not a racist, I didn't mean to say it, I didn't mean to hurt anybody. But you've seen this done 1,000 times now, right? And you did it anyway. That this was a very conscious decision for you to make this video, right?
So,
You know the N
Kendra,
word. You know the N word is wrong, and so for you
you
to
know it
use
is
it,
offensive.
it was a
Yep.
conscious decision. And
Yep.
so I don't feel bad for you, and I'm not going to keep accepting an apology from someone where it's not changed action. Am I grouping you all
Especially from
together?
them being from the South, bruh. Like, there is no way you can be Kentucky, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, and not think that this wasn't racist. So
Mhm.
I'm reading Kendra said he saw various statements and comments saying that the TikTok racist video shouldn't have gotten the children expelled from school because it didn't happen at school. How do you feel about that? Now, what I do know about the education system is that being an educator, it don't matter if I do it in the classroom or if I do it in a local bar or even if I do it in my home, if the district, if the school system get word, that's my license. That's my certification.
I teach it
Um,
everywhere they
and
are.
and a lot of schools have a zero tolerance policy. And this is what they found themselves violating. There's a zero tolerance policy in that school district for such behavior. Um,
Mhm.
and so, was it extreme? No. I mean, I hate to go back to black and white, but black kids do less and get expelled and suspended 10 days, get sent to alternative schools for less.
Mhm.
Um, so no, no, I think that they deserved it. That they're, it's just like with this Justice Smollett thing. I think that Chicago really hammered. I don't think it had. and I'm a homosexual. I don't think it had anything to do with him being a homosexual. I think that it has a lot to do with him using the system, and that they were persecuting him because he used the system in a manner that was unbecoming. You know what I'm saying? So I don't necessarily think that it was because he was black or because, you know, he was gay. I think that it's because, it could be because he's a minority that they went after it. But no, I think that at the end of the day, it was about using the system and manipulating the system. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I got James said he they know what they be saying. People are
Oh,
very
hands
intentional.
down.
Oh yeah.
That people, people are very intentional. If you can pull up my post for that right there, where the young lady went in and basically said you have to agree. And as I went back to go read her comment, she just basically said that she had to agree with what they said about the watermelon or something like that, and they went and ate her alive.
Which they should have, because I'm black. I don't like watermelon. Okay, I mean the best place for watermelon for me is in the trash. I'm not a watermelon fan, and for real, I don't really like fried chicken. Like, can I get some grilled or baked chicken? I mean, like, don't group me together with all the other black people. Like, so black, that's what you get. Okay. Sometimes it's best to keep your opinion to yourself. Okay. And if you get dragged, that means that's what you signed up for. Okay. Take out the trash because we dragging you today. That's your fault. Like, some things are going to trigger black people to comment. And so I don't feel bad for you. Again, mind your business, ma'am. Okay? Mind your business.
We got a comment on here. Cal says, well, he manipulated homosexuality. He used sexuality as a means for hate to get sympathy. The whole world felt bad for doing and
I can agree with his action in using homosexuality to,
we're on your screen. We're on your screen now. Emma Sophia Roundtree. You know Emma, right? She went to ASU with us.
Yeah, I know her.
Yeah, Emma Sigma. So it got 60 replies on there, y'all.
I have pop this open because
I have fluctuating positions on this. Wrong for N-word usage, but there may be some truth in the cup pouring, especially watermelon. And Tim King was going in. Tim was going in, man. Like, what? The responses, let me see. She responded to JaVale, yes, because black people single-handedly made these statements true. That's I guess never. If you don't see,
wait, I guess never. Okay.
Right. I ain't good with the lingo. If you don't see it, good for you. But I can single-handedly support. That's the thing with black people. They want to do what they want to do and get offended when someone calls them out. This video wasn't the best way to call them out, but it doesn't delete the facts here. Yes, expected. I expected these reactions. You moved it, so I don't see what I want.
Oh, my bad. Okay, yes.
It's just so it's so many, but basically, man, so many. Because I don't want to sit here and bore them with reading everything, man. There was just so many people, so many black people, all black people actually, who were disagreeing with her, man, and people were trying to put it eloquently. They were, some were just straight shooters, man. And so I actually
Omar. I want to read Omar's real quick. I'm sorry. I hope y'all can see this as I'm looking at my live. It looks like it's a little It looks like it's jumbled a bit. I'm going to
I got it. Let's disregard all of the systemic inequities that current black plight, from redlining housing districts and unfair racial lending practices to mass incarceration and disparate. Am I saying this right? Disparate sentencing, and let's paint an entire demographic with broad strokes because it fits your narrow-minded narrative and self-admitted anecdotal lifestyle. I expect that, but not from you. He is a problem of Phi Beta Sigma, the capital chapter.
Here we go.
My bad. I'm sorry.
Here we go. No, but that's that part right there. Like, let's disregard all of the systemic, inequalities, bro. Like, right there is my issue when we're talking about black forgiveness and we talk about Colin Kaepernick and we talk about Black Lives Matter and we talk about all these things where, like, y'all talk about this action that y'all see, but y'all not talking about the systemic barriers that were placed upon black folk. Like, people think that the 60s was like 200, 300 years ago. No, that was 40 years ago. My grandmother was born in 1933, wanted to be a nurse, Georgia. We talking about 1950. You know what I mean? Like, when nobody let her go to school, you know what I mean? Emory wasn't accepting no black nurses in the 50s. You know what I mean? Like, let's talk about these structures that led to our downfall. I think I said it on another video, bro. Like, we build these communities. Throughout history, our communities were destroyed. Black Wall Street destroyed. So black people are
which they're
having
just
to
now acknowledging 100 years later.
You know what I mean? Black people are really having to always pick themselves up by their bootstraps and try to figure it out and try to be better in a society that isn't made for them to succeed. You know what I mean? So, no, it's a lot of shit that leads to robbing or somebody big robbing. You know what I mean? Like, I come from Atlanta. Like, I come from the west side of Atlanta, bro. Like, the project homes, that shit, like, pushing us to a specific part of the city, then closing our schools. Think about Albany right now with these 4 high schools. They didn't close one. Now they got to close another one. You know what I mean? And think about the high schools that are being closed. I hear that Monroe might be on the chopping block next. Where was Monroe and Albany High located? In black neighborhoods.
Correct.
You know what I mean? So you got to think about how those decisions that are made by mostly white entities are making decisions about the black community. And we talking about not forgiving black folks or having this capacity to not forgive, bro. It's a lot to do with our mental state as black people. There are a lot of us that are pushing, bro, that are doing good things, that are moving, that are shaking, but there are a lot of people that are left behind because of the socioeconomic, issues that plague not only them, but generationally have plagued their families.
Right. Cal says we can talk about the systematic injustices that got us to the point. The issue is our people use those same issues as excuses once we learn our history.
I need an example. What do you mean?
I really feel like I want to tell him to call in, man. At some point,
jump in.
Yeah. At some point, we have to understand that yes, we will always have it harder, so we can use that as a hindrance or a driving factor to succeed. So now, in looking at this, if we just talk black and white, let's just talk black and white, right?
Okay.
If, as a whole, we are unable, as a whole, to forgive them, do we have to just ignore them and ignore it?
I don't think it should be ignored. I do feel like it should be addressed to let you know, hey, I see you. Okay, I see it. I see you. I see your intention. Okay. I was reading something. It said, I may not always say something, but believe I see it. I see something. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm going to address it. I want you to understand that I do see the inequity. I do see your actions. I see what you're trying to do, your malicious intent. I see it. I'm going to let you know I see you. Right before I checkmate, I see you. Yep. Don't worry about it.
Gotcha, man. What else we got, Marcus Antonio? Lead us.
So the next piece talks about just how sometimes we're made silent in our community because we often don't have the resources. So y'all heard about the Michigan athletic doctor? 40 years was sexually assaulting African-American men, African-American athletes. And when it came to a lot of these athletes, these gentlemen they didn't want to say nothing. They kept it on the low because a lot of them was on scholarships. A lot of them felt that if they did say something, not completing college, that would deter their whole family. You know what I'm saying? So I'm about to pull this up real quick. and I don't know if this is really on the topic of Black forgiveness, but sometimes it goes with Black silence.
Well,
Um,
I think it can be though, because some people want to say, well, why can't you just forgive him and move on? You know, he's dead now. Why can't you just forgive it and move on? You know, that was 40 years ago. That was 25 years ago. Why can't you just forgive and move on? Like, forgiveness is for everybody. So that's what some people are going to say. You'll have some Black people who say that. You'll have some white folks who say that. Well, just forgive him. And, you know, he's deceased now. There's nothing we can do about it. Just move on. Let's forgive him. Some people will say that.
I mean,
I don't think that there's ever a time where we should not call something out. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if it's 40 years, even if it's 50 years, like, no, it should still be called out. It should still be dealt with. It's just like the Tuskegee experiment that we know stuff about, but we are.
but let's go to this. The thing is, I don't think like with this University of Michigan thing. Had you never shown it, I never seen. I would have never heard about it. The thing with Tuskegee, if I would have never gone to ASU, I would have never heard about it. And I think, you know, and so I think it's certain things that that come into play or into fruition. You know, kind of like what Kyle said. Basically, it's like once we get the information, we should do something about it. And so I think the thing that I used to think was like, you know, it's hard to, you know, ask somebody. It's almost like, okay, if I did something to my wife, let's say if I did something to my wife, right? In turn, we had a son together, like biologically, we had a son together, and then I passed away. Should my wife expect my son to right my wrong? And I'm making it straight way personal because it's in house. You get what I'm saying? And I think that's how some people look at it. Like, well, we weren't the slave owners, we weren't the slave masters. We didn't molest. You know what I'm saying? These athletic kids. We weren't the ones that said, let's make niggas. We ain't the ones who doing this and that. We love black. We got black
To
friends.
benefit,
but you profited off of it. You're still profiting off of it.
Exactly.
Okay, you still reap the benefits of not. Yes, you didn't own them, but you still reap the benefits that family heritage, that lineage of that generational wealth. You still have that. Okay, so yes, you didn't own those slaves personally, but your grandfather did, your great granddaddy, your great grandmama. You know what I'm saying? You still have that money. I don't see you putting up anything to help any underprivileged or underserved communities.
But hey, look, does that even do anything? Because even going back to them two teenagers, like she gonna go help out with underprivileged communities and those things like that. Like, what is this teenager doing? I mean, what's her going to go help in an underprivileged school or neighborhood? What does it do?
A publicity stunt. That's what it is.
Yep.
Okay, I don't believe you.
Yeah,
I'm going to go help out on the west side of Atlanta because I just feel so bad. No, you want a camera shot. That's what you want. You want us to feel like, oh, look at her. Oh, woe is her. I feel so bad. We should forgive her. Absolutely not. Now, on the other hand, it says forgive and you shall be forgiven. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna forgive. I have to forgive you, right? But I shall never forget.
Right. Kiesha Gamble, I think that right. Kiesha Gamble said you can't forgive something that hasn't been addressed or acknowledged. You have to speak to your hurt to move forward. James says we keep getting mistreated. Kyle says we are the most forgiving culture in history. I'm gonna say Miss McKinley. Miss McKinley says my experience with white communities is that those who feel bad about what happened in history are often too afraid to look at what happened in their own lineages. So racism becomes a blurry monolith instead of a personal and ancestral experience. That was dope right there.
Yeah.
I kind of like that. Marcus,
she ain't lied.
Yeah, no. You did the you were pulling up Michigan. I saw it, didn't went away.
Yeah, man, I'm having some technical difficulties, man. You know.
Don't worry about it. Let's just
But we will share all of the links that we talked about today, so y'all have them at your disposal to follow along with us as well, y'all.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Are there any other comments while he gets the difficulties together?
I'm reading the comments. Did y'all see where I thought I shared in the comments and access for them to be able to get onto the Zoom. I think some people wanted to come in, so I was trying to give them that access to the Zoom so that they can come in. So let's talk about this. I'm gonna go to our group because I really want to go into this whole thing. Like, do we give other people more passes than we give ourselves? And we talk about those videos, and the brothers in the group, they actually had a whole lot to say about that. So let's go there real quick. I'm gonna pull this up for y'all so y'all can hear what the brothers had to say. All right, here we go. And it's coming. Oh,
A little silence. Okay. Yeah, it was popping. The bros did definitely have something to say about that, yo.
all right. Here we go. I got it. All right. James said in the group, yes, we forgive. Too easy. Prime example. This country can somehow come up with $2 trillion to pass out, but still can't repay us for slavery. And so my question to him was, do you think we hold on to slavery to a default? I think there are currently enough issues that the country can pay for rather than reparations. Not saying we don't need those. James says, yes, we hold on to, we have reason to. These white people constantly flying around that Confederate flag talking about don't take their history away, while at the same time telling black people to let go of slavery and what happened. The current issues cannot be addressed until the past issues have. And I said that was profound. You heard it. You heard that, right? You heard that, right? They tell us to let go of our history while they hold on to this, right?
What?
Do we need to pause right there? Do we need to pause right there?
No, go ahead. No,
He said,
that just did something to me.
I said, I see that. How can people who weren't alive during slavery properly and appropriately repay us for slavery? Money and land are the two common things. Are there any others? James says, I don't think people should, but the government is well equipped to make it happen. The same way they did for Americans, I think human rights is one also. Too many times minorities get their rights stripped from them. DeAndre said, what amount could be put up? I ain't even on this extra conversation. There is no amount that anyone would be satisfied with. You're talking about hundreds of years of slavery and still beyond that, mentally enslaved. No amount of money or land could make up for it. Plus, we would own the U.S. if they have everybody's land. James said that he's not really concerned about the amount as long as they can acknowledge the wrongdoing that was done. Also make it mandatory to truly know Black history. That whole conversation right there in and of itself was crazy.
I want to focus on the first part when he said the government can find all this money to magically pass out. But hello, the kids in Flint, Michigan still have brown water. Okay, the people of New Orleans. The people of New Orleans, it's been 15 years since Hurricane Katrina, and the levees are still broken, okay? So if a hurricane come through on June the 1st, when hurricane season starts, New Orleans is gonna flood all over again.
Puerto Rico, bruh, has never recovered.
You found 2.4 billion or trillion dollars in less than 3 weeks, but it's been 5 years since Flint, 15 since New Orleans, but you can't find the money to help those communities. And if you look at it, the places that are most affected in Flint and New Orleans are Black and brown people. How does that work?
And which go back to my thing, man, this is why we will never forgive the white American culture. We will never forgive them because it goes back to what I said in the very beginning. They believe who they are is right and what they do is right. And they justify everything they do by their belief system that they are by that you got to pull that better, you know what I'm saying? And
well equipped, more educated, well versed.
But you know what's funny is we forgive, and then when election time come around, like John, he wasn't out here giving out funding for the levees or trying to get clean water, but when it's time to vote, hey Black people, how you doing? Hey brown people, I really need your support. But you weren't supporting me when I most needed it. I don't understand that. Like they said, don't sit at home and not vote. But you want me to vote for someone who doesn't have my best interest at heart? I'm so confused. Well, just forgive them. They didn't really. They were a first-term Congress person. Listen, I don't care if you was in first term or your 151st term. Okay, if you can't solve the inequities at the level that you're on now, how can I expect you to move forward and represent me as a person, me as a community? Like I don't understand that. It blows my mind.
Since we're talking about that, this is where I think the issue is. you know, with Black people, we have so many, we have so many churches, right? If we had fewer churches, say for example, we had the Church of Pineville or the Church of Liberty County, and then we had, let's say, the Church of Savannah, right? And all the Blacks went to those churches. The Blacks could then create and come up with what they wanted and what they needed, and who would be the committee people and who would be the faces of what it is that we did. Because it goes back to the whole accountability piece and part. And I think we hold ourselves to higher expectations and standards because we feel that because we're Black and we've all gone through similar struggles, or at least our ancestors have, that we should do better towards one another. And when we don't, we go run to other counterparts and constituents to help us out as it relates to those things. And I think we have an issue for giving ourselves for what we do to one another, because we, like my wife, she always says it so well, like, if I tell you what hurts me, if I tell you what offends me, if I tell you what I don't like, why are you doing what hurts me? Why are you doing what offends me? Why are you doing what I not like? You know what I'm saying? And so we do those things, man. But then at the same time, man, like as my grandmother would say, you know, you keying in these white, you know, you be keying in their face and those things like that, man. And us being so unforgiving towards one another is another thing that holds us back. That's why we have so many different churches, because everybody want to be the leader. Somebody was hurt, you know what I'm saying? But that's a whole nother topic for another thing.
Okay, church hurt, right?
You know,
I am, and I hear you, Wills, and we did that. You know what I mean? We built our own. We had our own churches away from them. You know what I mean? We look at Antioch out in Albany, that's all the way down past, you know what I mean, right, the airport. You know what I mean? We moved outside of the county lines, outside of the city lines to be able to congregate and things like that. You know what I mean? Man, once again, you have a political structure within your county, within your city, bro, that are not equitable in their dealings with Black folk, with colored people, period. You know what I mean? I think that it's so easy for us to say, let's build our own, and it's so easy for us to say we should stop patronizing, you know, these stores, or stop patronizing, you know, this, you know what I mean? Like,
hey, listen to this.
Go.
You were on it. Okay, now, so Ms. McKinley on the live feed says that I think that Black people want to address slavery without first experiencing trauma in their own homes. Personal trauma, parents, grandparents, yes, slavery was traumatic, but you have to untangle a ball of yarn from the end that's closest. Black people want to address slavery, but are still too afraid to go to therapy. And Rosalind says, in the entire word, I'm actually untangling current traumatic issues. In actuality, untangling current traumatic issues allows to properly dissect and deal with the trauma from slavery. Let's see. Cal says, my question is, if white America acknowledges our injustices and apologizes, then where do we go next? At what point do we move on, or what does it take to move on? So many people spend decades talking about topics like this, but spend no time actually changing anything. It feels like we just like to be mad about something. Mm-hmm. So I read a whole bunch of different things.
And then that last part, we like to be mad about something.
But I mean,
I think we don't have the outlets really.
And one, which speaks to this becomes that outlet. Two, for clarity, Kyle, this isn't the opportunity. Well, and I know you don't think that this is what this is. We're not focusing on something to be mad about. We're just focusing on our ability to forgive ourselves as a community, so that we ourselves can move on regardless to what others do to us. Mm. And I think our inability to forgive our brothers and our sisters of color, Black, brown, and others, but our Black brothers and sisters, our inability to forgive one another and move on causes us to have unhealthy home relationships. It causes us to have unhealthy work relationships. It causes us to have unhealthy organizational relationships. But on the other hand, we will forgive and or move on past when other people do what's wrong, and we will still befriend them, and we will still smile and giggle and laugh with them, and we will work with them, and we'll grow with them, and we will invest in them and want them to invest in us. And as Marcus Antonio has been saying for the past 30 to 45 minutes, whole issue with burning down the things that we have, Black Wall Street, those things. What I said to him when we were talking privately was, I think that Black people with money, they are so afraid to invest back into the Black community because they think that white America has the power, which they do, the ability, which they do, the tools, the resources, and the utilities, which they do, and the manpower, which they do, to destroy what we put our money and our efforts into. It's not about us necessarily just being mad. It's the fact that regardless of what we do, we're going to always be back in this recurring cycle and circle of having to revisit, like, dang, this is just what slavery was. Dang, this is just what Tulsa, Oklahoma was.
The guy that was going against the media companies, the cable companies,
right?
Well, all the way to the Supreme Court, and they sent that shit back down. That's the issue.
You see
when
what
we find the cause and we work towards, we put our dollars into it, we put our research into it, and society, American society still says, nope, not good enough. We don't see the value in what you're saying. You're going to have to prove to us a little bit more how this is really affecting your people. You know what I'm saying? Each and every time.
Correct. And that's why I think most people go back to slavery. You know what I'm saying? That's what I mean, because again, if I go and I fight in a war on your behalf and on your cause, and then I come back home and I'm still nobody, I got an issue with that. So when I come back home and now the Black woman is having to pick up the slack in America because I left, and when I come back, now she's looking at me how you look at me. Now we got a problem in the house. And the way that we see one another in the house, our kids grow up and they see that now the kids have a problem with mama and daddy, and then they kids, and now they got problems with their grandparents and uncles and aunts and those things. That's the issue that we have because we're so unforgiving, and like we don't condone any man beating on their wives or cheating on their wives. We don't. Women disrespecting their husband or we don't condone kids disrespecting, but what we do want is for everyone to have a voice and for their voice to be heard. The issue is that we want people to stay in their quote unquote places. Who gave us a place? White America. And this is not our place. You understand what I'm saying? That's the thing.
That part, bruh.
We don't have no place. You understand? Like male, female, husband, wife, or however it is in your house, spouses on same playing fields, and everyone has their part. This is our end goal. And this is what you do to make sure we get there. This is what you do to make sure we get there. And this is how we teach our kids. The problem is we're teaching our kids and teaching ourselves that we got to kiss somebody behind just for us to get spit on anyway.
Hello? Oh, okay. That part.
That's the recurring lesson that is being taught.
I didn't know.
Every time a black person is shot down in the street and killed, that reinforces that we have no power to make any type of change. Every time a damn police officer get off with evidence, video evidence, it just shows that we do not have the power to make any of the changes. And I don't think that we forgave George Zimmerman or the cop who killed Michael Brown or the officer that took out Sandra. Like, we haven't forgiven them. It's just that what platform do we really have to stand on? You know what I'm saying? Do we accept the apology? Hell no. It's just like that. I'm sorry. Gene Bachman's family forgave that cop. Black people had a field day because the brother went and hugged this white woman, right? And then 2 weeks later, she is, going through this appeal process, you know what I mean, to have this record expunged, to get out of jail, we don't forgive these people like that. We are put in situations, and this shit pissed me off because it goes back to me to this Christian faith thing. Like, they quoted Bible verses in forgiving this woman.
Yeah.
Like,
that's the thing that with me, and you know my faith, and people who watch you know me, they know the faith, and that's the thing that I hate, man. I hate as equally as black people using scripture to manipulate people who they think have no idea. White people using, I just hate it. Like, I don't want you to forgive. You have to embrace it. You have to do this, that, and the third. Like, listen, okay. There's one thing about forgiveness. Well, you know what? Let me read these comments before I go in on these folks, okay? And they ain't gonna think that I have the faith that I say I do. Brandon says we don't have enough resources to nation build, and we aren't allowed to.
Right there, Brandon.
To me, those are the two largest issues. We don't have enough resources to nation build.
But we do have enough resources, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think back to, like, you know, Black Wall Street. They pulled their money together. You know, we're in this age now where I don't want you to know better than I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? We have what they always say, your time, your talent, and your talent. It don't always have to be financial resource, right? We have all this creativity and ingenuity, and we're still at the bottom of the barrel. I don't understand that, right? If you pull all your creativity and your ingenuity together, I pull my resources and I pull my time, why don't we have the resources? They're right there. I think it's a level of laziness at some point. You know what I'm saying? Like, we keep saying we don't have but you do have the resources. Oh, I could do better if. Well, I would do this if I could, but you can. So people always say, well, we don't have the resources. Yes, we do. We don't utilize them correctly. Hello, we have the resources, though.
Right, Brandon said,
or we're unaware of the resources. I think that's the biggest thing. Like I say, the whole reason that I got started in education was because my mama should have been able to go to college. I should not have been the first person in my family to go to college. My grandmother is smart as shit, could spell any word that you throw at her. I think that she was a spelling bee champion. You know, Akila got nothing on Sally. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got into this because I should not have been the first person in my family to go to college. And going into college, I learned about different resources that were available to me, that would have also been available to my family, my brother, my cousins, to allow them to get a GED, to get their high school diploma. WIOA, there are fundings that are specific for low-income folk. But once again, ain't nobody coming into the neighborhood, the Black neighborhoods and communities talking about these resources, and we expect people to just know where these resources are, where they're housed, where we can locate them, who is distributing these resources. Black folks don't really know. You know what I mean? And we ain't got a lot of people working in these areas that are able to disseminate the information. We got a lot of processors in food stamps and TANF. We got processors, but we really got people talking about how to do braided funding, where you can go to a community college. Because you're on food stamps, you can get a semester or two paid for, and then you can go in and get some WIA funding. So you can have an associate's degree paid for without even, Black folks don't know that. You know what I mean? And when I look at my frat brothers, when I look at my graduation class from Albany State 08 and then 2011, there's nobody from my graduation class that works with adult learners. And I'm not talking about professors who are teaching university level. I'm talking about there's nobody that I know from my classes that are working with Black adult learners that are providing them with opportunities to get these GEDs and these high school diplomas. I can't call one unless it was a coworker that I work with. I don't have people that we graduated with Wiggles. I don't have people, you know what I mean, that I went to high school with that are really in education at that level, that are really talking about these resources that are available to our community.
Because they're trying to get white American resources. Cal, in response to your thing about the guy with the cable company, he said he attacked an injustice with no call to action, referring to the cable company. So
yeah, I have to agree, Cal.
Yeah.
But, you know, with knowing what he was doing, we should have, as a people, been a little bit more supportive. But then once again, it comes to how could we have been supportive? I guess when you say that there was no call to action, when I go back and I think about everything that he was saying and everything that he was giving, you absolutely right. There wasn't a call to action. There was nothing for me to do or no way for me to really get involved to affect the change that he was looking at. Does that make sense?
It does. Kevin, like you wanted something to say. Brandon says it takes material and financial resources at the end of the day. I think that
Yes,
was
it does.
to Carrollton. Rosalind said yes, Black Wall Street. Brandon said Black Wall Street as well. The rest of the affluent communities around the country didn't have the resources to defend themselves. So when there is an actual attack, we don't have the ability to properly defend ourselves because of because of that particular deficiency. And Rosalind
And when
said,
we do protect ourselves, we looked at it as gangs and thugs.
correct.
You know, Wiggles posted something I thought was very, I think that meme was very, really interesting the other day. How when it's like a Black Lives Matter protest, oh, we're thugs and criminals and we're gang members. But you know, now that you want to go back and get your tan salon on, or you want to go back and get you a haircut, or go down to the local movie theater, now you're, oh, well, we're just protesting our right. This is my human right. Hello, my life is not a human right. Like my Black Lives Matter is not a human right. But you want to run down to the tanning salon, and so you should be able to do that, and it's okay. I'm just protesting. But when I protest, oh, okay.
I think to go towards the end of this thing, because we can go all day. You know what I'm saying? What I think it boils down to though is our unforgiveness towards one another and our forgiveness towards our counterparts. It to me is wrapped up in fear. I believe that in everything that we've said, we are completely as a whole, maybe not every single individual, but as a whole,
As a community.
yeah, as a community, we are completely afraid of white America. And that's why we forgive them, because we believe that if we don't forgive them and if we do go against them, look at what happened to Martin Luther King. Look at what happens to, Malcolm X. Look at what happens to.
Can I interject and say I don't think that we are afraid. I just think that we're at our wits' end because we don't really have a solution. I don't think that we're really afraid. You know what I'm saying? I think that
it could be a friendly amendment.
yeah. I think that we're not afraid. We just lost as if I take his ass out, I'm gonna get 150 years. As opposed to he take me out, he gonna get 3.
Yeah,
So you know what I mean? I guess that could be a fear. I guess
because you're afraid of that retaliation. If I retaliate and give him what he actually deserves, I'm gonna be gone forever. My life.
And then if I do retaliate against him, will my people support me?
Will my people support me, or who else in turn will have to suffer because of my stance? And that's something that I think about a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like in anything, man. Like man, I'm extremely adamant about a lot of stuff, and maybe it's to a fault, man. And that's why I share so much on my page, and that's why I say so many things. A lot of it is just it's wrapped up in a bunch of colorful words. But in reality, what it is that I want us as a people to be free from fear. I used to say some years ago, man, I wanted to launch an anti-fear campaign. Like we ain't afraid of nothing. We ain't afraid of nobody. You know what I'm saying? And my brothers and sisters are everyone who looks like me. You know what I'm saying? You may be poor, you may be uneducated, you may be this, you may be that, you may be the other, whatever it is, you're my brother and sister. And as long as you can understand that this is the common goal, right? And maybe I don't have a common goal right now, but if we can, that's why I brought up the whole church thing in a division, because if we as a people, I said it in the conversation that we had, if we as a community, if we had an actual community, a sacred community, we could say, okay, you got to go, right? Within our community, we can say you got to go, and then we can say you can't come.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you can't come in. Like there's some practices now that I do like from the scriptures that's well. There's like, okay, you know what? You just messing everything up for everybody. You got to go for a little while. You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna let you think about it, and maybe we'll see if you pass some tests.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But that's
I think that there needs to be a reinsurgence of Black Panther movement, bro. Like
this is what this is.
That movement did so much more than what a lot of people or what white stream America is saying that they did. A lot of the programs that I spoke about today were bred out of the Black Panther movement. You know what I mean?
Right.
Those people live without fear.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's why I say that, it's partly that we're not afraid. It's just the system itself. But I think that we got to get back to this Black Panther resurgence. But y'all, we coming up on our hour, and this has been amazing. I got to get it over to Kev, because Kev, in all of this, you got to give us this thought of the week, man, to keep us through. What you got today?
All right. So the thought for the week, okay? Stop looking for happiness in the same place you lost it.
Damn.
With that being said, govern yourselves accordingly.
Hey man, we thank y'all so much for tuning in to the Black Male Perspective, aka The Perspective. And just like we asked you in the beginning, we all want to know what's
your
perspective?
perspective? Y'all have a good one. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Next Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yes, 1 p.m. Central or Pacific. What am I talking about?
Thank y'all so much, man. Brandon, keep it coming, man. Keep it coming, man. Thank y'all so much.